In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this little romper for baby boys and girls between 6 and 9 months old. I'm also going to show you how to crochet the matching baby booties, so I hope you like them. Now this little romper, like I said, is for boys and girls between 6 and 9 months old, but you can make it smaller or bigger. Just be sure to check out the information box below. There I will leave some information on how you can make it smaller or bigger. Also, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll go ahead and leave the link here in the comments and in the information box below. Okay, so let's get started, and thank you for watching. Okay, to begin, I'll be using this 3.5mm crochet hook, and today I'm using this DK weight yarn. It's called Naco Anti-Pilling. This here is very similar to cotton, so I'm going to go ahead and make this little romper using this yarn. I'm going to use two colors, this light blue color and in white. So we're going to start with the light blue color. Now, if you're in the US, you can use any number 3 yarn. The thickness of this yarn is approximately 3mm. Okay, to begin, I have 63 chains. This chain here is measuring about 11.25 inches, which is about 28.5 centimeters. Now, if you're off by 1 or 2 centimeters, it's okay. Just continue with the next step. So now here, to begin, on the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to make a double crochet. Including the 3 chains here at the beginning, I have 2. In total, I'm going to make 8 double crochets. So into the next chain, that's 3, 4, into the next 5, and into the next chain, 6, 7, 8 double crochets. Here's one of the front panels. Now into the next chain, you're going to make a V-stitch. This is going to be one of the corners. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the same chain. Now for the sleeve, I need to make 12 double crochets. So into the next chain, make a double crochet. That's 1, into the next,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
12 double crochets. Here's the sleeve. Now into the next chain, we're going to make our next corner. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the same chain there. And now I'm going to make the back side. For the back side, I'm going to make a total of 17 double crochets. So into the next chain here, make a double crochet, and into each one of these next chains until you have 17. You're just going to make a double crochet. I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm going to come back once I have my 17 double crochets to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making these 17 double crochets. Here's my V-stitch, and then I did 17 double crochets. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. Now into the next chain, we're going to make our 3rd corner. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Now into the next 12 chains, I'm going to make 12 double crochets. So continue, finish these 12 double crochets, and I will meet you back once I have my 12 double crochets done. I finished making these 12 double crochets. Here's my corner, and then I did 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 double crochets. Now into this next chain, we're going to make our 4th corner. So make a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and now here we're going to finish with these last 8 double crochets. Continue, finish this first row, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this first row. I have 65 double crochets. Now for the second row, you're going to chain 2 and turn. These 2 chains never count as a stitch. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to work 1 double crochet on each one of these double crochets until I come to the last double crochet. So beginning on top of this first double crochet through the back loop only, we're going to be making these double crochets. Now this is optional. If you prefer to do your double crochets on top going through both loops, you can. I'm just going to do it like this because I like the way that it looks once the yoke is done. So I'm going to go through the back loop only for every row. So here I have, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double crochets. Now into this last double crochet through both loops, I'm going to make 2 double crochets. Inside the chain 1 space, make a V-stitch. The V-stitch is going to consist of a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and now into the first double crochet of this side, through both loops, make 2 double crochets. So our increases are going to be before the V-stitch and after the V-stitch. See, we have 2 double crochets, V-stitch, 2 double crochets. And now I'm going to continue and work double crochets until I come to the last double crochet. So through the back loop only, make 1 double crochet on each. That's 2. Double crochets. Here's the last double crochet. Make 2 double crochets on top, going through both loops. Inside the chain 1 space, make your V-stitch. And now into this first double crochet for this side, through both loops, make 2 double crochets. So here's our second increase. Now you're going to continue in the same way. Here you're just going to make 1 double crochet through the back loop only on each one of these double crochets until you come to the next corner where you're going to do the exact same thing. Into this last double crochet, you're going to do 2 double crochets. Inside the chain 1 space, you're going to do a V-stitch, and into the next double crochet, 2 double crochets. Then continue along and do the same thing into this last corner. I will meet you at the end of this second row. Okay, I'm here at the end of the second row. I have 81 double crochets. Now for rows 3, 4, and 5, we're going to repeat the same thing. You're going to chain 2 and turn, and beginning into this first double crochet, make your first double crochet here. Go through the back loop only, and into each one of these double crochets until you come to the last double crochet. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and here's my last double crochet. So go through both loops and make 2 double crochets. Inside the chain 1 space here, make a V-stitch, and into this first double crochet for this side, 2 double crochets. This is all you're going to do for each one of your corners. You're going to do exactly the same thing. Into the last double crochet, we did 2 double crochets, then a V-stitch, and into the first double crochet for this side, 2 double crochets, and now you're just going to continue work double crochets until you come to the next corner. And you're going to repeat the same thing for the last 3 corners here. Now when you finish this row, you're going to chain 2, turn, And then repeat the same thing for rows 4 and 5. Now at the end of this third row, you're going to have 97 double crochets. At the end of the fourth row, you're going to have 113 double crochets. And at the end of the fifth row, 129 double crochets. I'll meet you at the end of the fifth row. Okay, I finished rows 3, 4, and 5. I'm at the end of the fifth row and I have a total of 129 double crochets. Now what we're going to do for rows 6, 7, and 8 is we're going to chain 2 and we're going to turn. Now in these next 3 rows, we're not going to increase anymore here into this last double crochet or into the first. What we're going to do is just the V-stitch inside the chain 1 space. So let me show you. Beginning on top of this first double crochet through the back loop, make your first double crochet and into each one of these double crochets until you come to the chain 1 space. There's 3, 15, 16. Let me count again. I think I messed up. Let's see, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 17. Now inside the chain 1 space of this V-stitch, make a V-stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then continue along for this side, just making 1 double crochet on each one of these double crochets until you come to the next corner, which you're going to do the exact same thing. A V-stitch here, here, and then here. Continue and finish this 6th row and I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this 6th row. I have a total of 137 double crochets. Now for rows 7 and 8, we're going to repeat the same thing we did for row 6, which is chain 2 and turn, beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet, and then through the back loop of each one of these double crochets, make 1 double crochet until you come to the first corner. Here's the last double crochet. Now inside this chain 1 space, you're going to make your V-stitch and then continue along for this other side where you're going to do the exact same thing. So continue like this. At the end of this 7th row, you're going to have 145 double crochets, and at the end of the 8th row, 153 double crochets. I'll meet you at the end of the 8th row. Okay, I did a total of 8 rows. The yoke is done and I have a total of 153 double crochets. Now let me give you the finished measurements. Right across right here, it's measuring about 10.5 centimeters, which is about 4.25 inches, and this part here right across, it's measuring about 23 centimeters, which is about 9 inches. So now the yoke is done, we're going to continue with the rest. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to divide the sleeves in this next row. So to do this, we're going to go into this first double crochet here, and we're going to join with a slip stitch, and now you're going to chain 2 and into this same stitch here make a double crochet. Now we're going to work these double crochets until I come to the first corner. So I have 1 double crochet into the next, that's 2. These double crochets we're going to go through both loops. These are just normal double crochets. $20 double crochets. Now into this first corner here, make 2 double crochets. Now to divide the sleeve, chain 4, skip these double crochets, and right here into this next corner make 2 double crochets. This is how you're going to divide the other sleeve. Like this, 2 double crochets into this corner and 2 double crochets into the corner and 4 chains in between. So now you're just going to continue along and make these double crochets for the front. This part here is going to now be the front, like this. So continue, finish these double crochets. When you get here into this third corner, you're going to do 2 double crochets, then chain 4, skip these double crochets for the sleeve, and into this last corner you're going to do 2 double crochets and then work this other panel. I will meet you at the end of this first row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this first row. This is where we divided the sleeves. I have a total of 44 double crochets for the back and 45 double crochets for the front. So now here to finish, we're going to go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished this first row with a total of 89 double crochets. Now for the second row, we're going to chain 2. And here what we're going to do is we're going to alternate between front post and back post double crochets. Now, if you have a hard time making front post and back post double crochets, then just work double crochets instead. So here to begin, we're going to start with a front post double crochet, then a back post double crochet. Now, you can slow your YouTube app here so that you can practice your front post and back post double crochets. Like this. Front post, back post double crochets, front post, back post double crochet. This is all I'm going to do until I come to the chains we have under the sleeve. Now we have the 4 chains here under the sleeve. What I'm going to do is into the first chain, I'm going to make 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Then into the second and third, 1 double crochet. And into the last chain, the 4th chain, make 2 double crochets. And now we're just going to continue here and just work a double crochet on top of the first one here, since we can't work a back post double crochet. So just do a double crochet on top of this one and then start with a front post double crochet into the second double crochet, like this, and back post. Continue like this. Now when you come under the sleeve here, you're going to do the same thing. Into the first chain, you're going to do 2 double crochets, then into the second and third, 1 double crochet, and into the 4th, 2 double crochets. And then here you're going to start with a double crochet on top and then a front post double crochet into the second double crochet, so that you finish here at the end with a front post double crochet. Continue and I'll meet you at the end of this second row. I'm here at the end of this second row. This is where we did front post and back post double crochets. Now I have a total of 101 double crochets for this row. To finish, we're going to go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for the third row, we're going to chain 2, and in this row we're going to work double crochets, just normal double crochets right on top of each one of these double crochets from your previous row, like this. This stitch here is going to consist of 2 rows of just double crochets, like this row that I'm doing right now, and then the third row is going to be the row of front post and back post double crochets. Very easy. So here I'm just going to work these double crochets until I come to the double crochets that we have under the sleeve. I'm going to make another increase there, and this is going to be the last row of increase. Okay, so here's my first double crochet out of the 6 that we have here under the sleeve. We have 2, 4, 6. Into the first double crochet, make 2 double crochets. Then into the second, third, fourth, and fifth, make 1 double crochet. And then into the last double crochet, this one here, make 2 double crochets. So we increased at the beginning and at the end. So into the first and into the 6th double crochet that we have here under the sleeve. Now you're going to do the same thing on the other side, but here you're just going to continue first and make these double crochets for the front side. And then, like I said, when you come here to these 6 double crochets under the sleeve, into the first you're going to do 2 double crochets, into the second, third, fourth, and fifth 1 double crochet, and into the 6th 2 double crochets, and then continue along and finish this 3rd row. I'll meet you at the end of the 3rd row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this 3rd row. I have a total of 105 double crochets. Now to finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now from here on, we're going to continue with 105 double crochets. We're not going to make any more increases or anything. We're just going to continue like this. So for the 4th row, chain 2, and then into the first double crochet where I did the slip stitch, make a double crochet on top of the next, and so on. For this row, all we're going to do are these double crochets, and at the end of this 4th row, we're going to again have 105 double crochets. Continue all around and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, I'm here at the end of this 4th row. I have a total of 105 double crochets. From here on, we're always going to have 105 double crochets. Now to finish this row, what you're going to do is just go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. From here on, you're going to work these 3 rows, the row of front post double crochet and then the 2 rows of double crochets, just like we did here. So for the 5th row, I need to do the row of front post and back post double crochets. So chain 2, and beginning here into this first double crochet, make a front post double crochet, into the next back post double crochet, front post double crochet, and back post double crochet. This is how you're going to continue all around. When you finish, you're going to go on top of this first double crochet right here, join with a slip stitch, chain 2, and then repeat these 2 rows of double crochets all around. When you finish these 2 rows, you're going to do the row of front post and back post double crochets. That's how we're going to continue for the rest. I'm not exactly sure how many rows I'm going to do, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do, so I'll meet you at the end of that row. Okay, I did a total of 25 rows. My last row is the 2nd row of double crochets, so my next row is going to be the row of front post and back post double crochets. Now it's measuring from the top of the shoulder here to the end of this last row. It's measuring about 34 centimeters, which is about 13.5 inches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to divide the legs. But now to finish this last row, row 25, what I'm going to do here at the end is I'm going to add an extra stitch here at the end, and I'm going to do it right here at the very end. Into this last double crochet, I'm going to add 1 more double crochet, so that now I have a total of 106 double crochets. Remember, we had 105 double crochets, and here at the end I'm adding 1, so that's 106 double crochets for this row. Now to finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now I'm doing this because it's easier for me to divide the legs when I have an even number of double crochets. Cut your yarn because we're going to have to start here for the legs, but first we need to divide the legs. So what I did is we have 106 double crochets, divide this by 2, that equals 53. So from here, from this first double crochet, the 2 chains don't count. From here, just count 53 double crochets and then put a stitch marker like I did here. So this is the middle right here. Now, what I did here for the front, once I know the middle, is I have 4 double crochets on this side and 4 double crochets here on this side, so that I have 8 double crochets for the front. And then I have the same thing here. I have 8 stitches. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 2 chains don't count. 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is going to be the back. For each one of the legs, you should have 45 and 45. So to begin, make sure that this is the back side. We're going to go here into the, on top of the first double crochet after the stitch marker right there. I am going to grab a loop like this, bring it through the front, chain 2. And here I'm going to continue with the same pattern. So my next row needs to be the row of front post and back post double crochet. So I'm going to go right here and work a front post double crochet. Next one, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, and so on. This is how I'm going to continue until I come to this stitch marker. So I'll meet you right about here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished these double crochets for this leg. I did 45 double crochets here, front post and back post double crochets. My last stitch here is a front post double crochet. Now for rows 2 and 3, you're going to chain 2 and turn. In these next 2 rows, I need to do these 2 rows of just double crochets. And from here on, we're going to have to turn for every row because we can't work this part here in the round anymore. So beginning on top of this first double crochet, make your first double crochet, and on top of each one of the double crochets, 1 double crochet. Now you're going to continue like this till you come here to the end right here. On top of this last double crochet right here, you're going to do your last double crochet for the second row, then chain 2, and then into this first stitch, make your first double crochet just like I did here. The 2 chains never count, and then continue along and finish that 3rd row of double crochets. So I'll meet you at the end of that 3rd row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this 3rd row. So we did these 2 rows of double crochets. Now here at the end, I cut my yarn and passed my yarn through this last loop. So now with this white color here, I'm going to do 2 more rows, but if you want to make this part longer, you can. I'm just going to leave it like this. So insert your hook here on top of this last double crochet, bring this loop through the front and chain 2, 1 and 2. Now turn here to begin. On top of this first double crochet, make your first half double crochet. Now into the second double crochet here, work a back post half double crochet. Next one, front post half double crochet, back post half double crochet, and so on. If you prefer to do double crochets here for this part, you can. It's just going to be a tiny bit longer, but you can do that. Okay, so continue like this, alternating between a front post and a back post half double crochet. I'll meet you here at the end. I'm here at the end of this row of front post and back post half double crochets. Here at the end, I did my last half double crochet into this last double crochet. Now for the second row, chain 2 and turn. Here, beginning on top of this first half double crochet, make your first half double crochet, and then front post half double crochet, and then back post half double crochet, and so on. This is going to be the last row, so continue and I will meet you at the end. Okay, I finished this second row here of front post and back post half double crochets, and this side here is done. Now we're going to do the same thing here on this other side. We did a row of front post and back post double crochets, 2 rows of just double crochets, and then 2 rows of front post and back post half double crochets with white. Now we're going to start here on this side. Make sure that you're on the right side, so make sure the right side is facing you. We're going to do it this way because if I start here in the back, my rows are going to be backwards and it's not going to match here this side. So we're going to start here on the front side. So we have our 8 stitches here in the center, and right here to the side of this stitch marker, insert your hook right there, grab a loop, and chain 2, 1 and 2. Now beginning into this first double crochet right here where I did the chains, make a front post double crochet into the next back post double crochet, front post double crochet, and so on. This is how I'm going to work these 45 double crochets, just alternating between front post and back post double crochets. Continue, and I will meet you here at this other end to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this first row. This is where we did front post and back post double crochets. Now what we're going to do is the 2 rows of double crochets, and then you're going to finish with the 2 rows of front post and back post half double crochets. So here I'm just going to start you off, and then you're going to finish the rest. So chain 2, turn, and then here beginning on top of this last double crochet, make your first double crochet on top of the next, double crochet on top of the next, and so on. When you finish this row, make sure you count your double crochets. Make sure you have 45. Then you're going to chain 2 and then start your row in the exact same way for that second row of double crochets, and then finish this part and make 2 rows of front post and back post double crochets. So I'll meet you once this other side is done so that I can show you how we're going to work this part here in the center. Okay, I finished making the other leg. Here at the end, I just did my last half double crochet, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through this last loop, and both legs are done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work single crochets here along this edge here and also here in the front. So make sure that when you do this next part, the back is facing you. So this is the back side. So we're going to go here. I'm going to insert my hook here right on top of this last half double crochet, and I am going to bring this loop here to the front, and I'm going to chain 1 and then make a single crochet into this same stitch here. Now we're going to work a single crochet into the next. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 single crochets for this side. I think that looks pretty good. Now we have the 8 double crochets here for the center. On top of the first double crochet, I'm going to make 2 single crochets. So that's 2, let's see, so we have 8, 9, and 10 into the next. That's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and this is the last double crochet. I'm going to make 2 into this last single crochet. So we have 8 for this side, 10 here in the center. And now I'm going to work 8 single crochets along this side. So beginning into this first row, make 2 single crochets, into the next row another 2, into the next row 2, and then finish here with 7 and 8. Perfect. I think that looks pretty good. So we have 8, 10, 8. So that's a total of 26 single crochets here. Now for the next 5 rows, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and here you're going to work single crochets on each one of these single crochets, and you're always going to finish with 26. So like this. So continue, finish this row. When you finish here, you're going to chain 1, turn, and then repeat the same thing, single crochets. I will meet you back to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making the 6 rows here. Here at the end, I just cut my yarn and passed my yarn through this last loop, and this part here is done. Now, we did a total of 6 rows, and we're going to do the exact same thing here for the front side. Now, I plan to use snap buttons for mine, but I'm also going to show you how to make buttonholes if you want to use buttons instead. So now here, make sure that the front is facing you. So we're going to go here to the right side. So here, insert your hook on top of this last half double crochet right there, and grab a loop with this blue yarn, chain 1, and now into this first row right here, make a single crochet, then single crochet into the next row in white, and here we're going to make sure to have 8 single crochets. So I'm going to work 2 single crochets into each one of these rows. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 and 8. Perfect. We have 8 single crochets. Now we have these 8 double crochets, so into the first, so on top of this first double crochet, make 2 single crochets, and then continue to the last double crochet. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Into this last double crochet, make 2. So that's 9 and 10. Perfect. Now along this other side, I need to make 8 single crochets. So into this first row, make 2. Into the next row, that's 2, 1 and 2. So that's 4. Into the next row, 5 and 6. Then we have these last 2 rows, so make 1 on each, 1 single crochet on each. So that's 8. Perfect. So we have 8, 10, and then 8. So that's a total of 26 single crochets, which is the same number we had here for the back. Now chain 1, turn. So for rows 2 and 3, you're going to do the same thing. Chain 1, turn, and then work single crochets like this. Now when you finish, here at this end, chain 1, turn, and then work single crochets. So I will meet you at the end of that 3rd row. Okay, I'm here at the end of the 3rd row. Now what I'm going to do in the next row is I'm going to show you how to make your buttonholes. So what I have done here is I'm going to make my first buttonhole into the 3rd single crochet, and then right about the center I'm going to add the 2nd, and then here 3 stitches before we finish, I'm going to add the 3rd buttonhole. Now I'm not going to use buttons for mine, I'm going to use snap buttons. So I don't need to do buttonholes on mine, I'm just going to work this part here to show you for those of you who are going to use buttons. So to do this, you're going to chain 1 and turn. This would be the 4th row. You're going to work this first single crochet on top of the first, then into the next, make a single crochet, and here I have my first stitch marker. So I'm going to chain 1, skip this single crochet, and into the next make a single crochet, and then continue along and work these single crochets until I come to the next stitch marker. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 single crochets, chain 1, skip 1 single crochet, and into the next a single crochet, and then I'm going to work these single crochets until I come to the last stitch marker. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Chain 1, skip this single crochet, and into the last 2 make a single crochet. So this is how you would work your row of buttonholes if you were to add buttons here to this part. Now for the next 2 rows, 5 and 6, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and then work single crochets into each one of the single crochets. Right here where we did the chain, make a single crochet, and then same thing for each one of the chain space. And that's how you would do this part with buttons and buttonholes. Now I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to just work my 6 rows in the exact same way I did this side, so I don't need to make any buttonholes. So I'm just going to remove these stitch markers, and I'm just going to work rows 4, 5, and 6 in the exact same way I did the other side. Chain 1, turn, and then work single crochets. So basically If you're adding snap buttons, just make 6 rows of single crochets. And if you're adding buttonholes, then work 3 rows of single crochets, and then the 4th row add buttonholes, and then finish the last 2 rows. That's the only thing. Now I'm going to finish this side, and then I'm going to come back and show you once I have finished my 6th row to show you how I'm going to add my snap buttons for those of you who are interested in that version. Okay, I finished making my 6 rows here. This is the front side and this is the back. So now I've already added 2 of my snap buttons. I need to do the 3rd one. I already added the one here in the center, so now I just need to add the one in the center on this right side. So let's see, my buttons are snapping like this on both sides. So right about here in the center, put my snap button there, and then put this one on top, right there. Put this one on top, and then with this little thing here, you just put it in there. Perfect. Now you just snap it on and it's done. That's what it looks like. This is the kit that I used. Like I said, I'll go ahead and leave the link down here in the information box. I purchased this from Amazon. And so this part here is done, and that's what it looks like. Now if you're using buttons, then you would just sew in your buttons there. And this part here is done. That's what it looks like. Perfect. So now what we're going to do next is we're going to do this here, the back side, and then we're going to work the collar. So I'll come back and show you that next. Okay, so we finished this part here, so now we're going to do one of the sleeves. I went ahead and did the left sleeve already. This is what it looks like. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do a total of 7 rows. 1 row of front post and back post double crochets, which is the first row, then the 2nd row of double crochet, the 3rd row of double crochets, the 4th row of front post and back post double crochets, and then the 5th row of double crochets, and then 2 rows of front post and back post half double crochet. So that's a total of 7 rows. So we're going to do the exact same thing here on this side. So here we're going to go under this sleeve. Right in the middle we have these 6 double crochets. So insert your hook right in the middle. We have 3 double crochets here and 3 double crochets here. Now for the sleeves, from this corner up to this corner all around, I have 36 double crochets. Now if for some reason you're off by 1 or 2, just adjust there so that at the end here we end up with 41 stitches, just like I will. So beginning here in the center, grab a loop, bring it through the front, chain 2, 1 and 2. Now to make this sleeve, we're going to go around the back to the front, whereas this one here you're going to go from the center to the front and then end here in the back. That's the only difference, but you're going to do the exact same thing since we have the same number of stitches. So here we have 2 chains. Now into this same stitch here, make a double crochet. Then I'm going to skip 1, 2, and right in the center right here make another double crochet. That's 2. Now we're going to make 1 more, so yarn over. I need to make 1 more between the first double crochet for the sleeve and this last one that I did. So insert your hook into this space here, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, then insert your hook right here into this last double crochet for when we divided the sleeves, grab a loop, take 2 loops, 3 loops, close. There, that's what we did, the stitch here. Now you can also just do a double crochet here. You don't have to do this double crochet like I did, but I did it this way because I tried it with just a double crochet here, and there's a gap between this double crochet and this one. So that's why I went ahead and did it this way. So now we have the 36 double crochets for the sleeve. Beginning into this first one, you're going to work a front post double crochet, next one back post double crochet, next one front post double crochet, and so on. Continue like this all around, and I'll meet you right about here to show you how we're going to finish this first row. Okay, I'm here at this other end. I did my front post and back post double crochets all around. So here we're going to do the same thing we did here at the beginning. We have this double crochet right here. This is the last double crochet for when we divided the sleeves. Insert your hook there, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, then right about here, right in the middle, take 2 loops off, 3 loops, close. And now we're going to make 1 more double crochet. So I'm going to skip 2 and right in the center make 1 more double crochet. Here the important thing is that you don't necessarily have to work them in the same way that I did. The important thing is that right here under the sleeve we have 5 stitches and then 36 for the sleeves. Now to finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished this first row with 41 double crochets. The 2 chains never count as a stitch. Now for the second row, we're just going to work double crochet. So chain 2, now into this same stitch here, make a double crochet and 1 double crochet on top of each one of the double crochets. At the end of this second row, we're going to have 41 double crochets. Continue all around and I'll meet you here at the end. Okay, I'm here at the end of this second row. This is where we did double crochets. I have 41 double crochets. Now to finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for the third row, we're going to do the same thing. Chain 2 and into this same stitch here, make a double crochet, then 1 double crochet on top of each one of the double crochets from the previous row. At the end of this third row, you're going to have 41 double crochets. Continue and I'll meet you here at the end. Okay, I'm here at the end of this third row. I have 41 double crochets. To finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for the fourth row, chain 1, and what we're going to do here is we're going to work front post and back post double crochets. So beginning into this first double crochet, work a front post double crochet, then back post double crochet, front post double crochet, and so on. This is all we're going to do for this fourth row, front post and back post double crochets. Continue all around and I'll meet you at the end of this fourth row. I'm here at the end of this fourth row. This is where we did front post and back post double crochets, and I have a total of 41 stitches. Now to finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for the fifth row, chain 2. In this row, we're just going to work double crochet. So beginning into the same stitch where I did the slip stitch, make your first double crochet, then 1 double crochet on top of each one of the double crochets from the previous row. At the end of this fifth row, we're also going to have 41 double crochets. Continue and I'll meet you here at the end. Okay, I went ahead and finished this fifth row. This is where we did double crochets all around. Here I cut my yarn and passed my yarn through this last loop. I just joined to the first double crochet like we normally do. Now for the last 2 rows, we're going to do 2 rows of front post and back post half double crochets. I did half double crochets because I don't want my sleeve to be too long, so you can do the same, or you can do double crochets. That will be up to you, and if you want to make the sleeve longer, then just continue in the same way we did here. So here, insert your hook on top of the first double crochet, which is the same stitch you did your slip stitch. With this white yarn, bring a loop through the front, chain 1, and then we're going to work front post and back post half double crochets. So beginning into this first double crochet, work your first front post half double crochet, then back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet, and back post half double crochets. Now if you have difficulty making these front post and back post half double crochets, then just work 2 more rows of double crochets. That would be up to you. Now continue like this, alternating between front post and back post half double crochets for this 6th row. Then when you finish this row, just join here to the side with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then repeat the same thing for the 7th row. I'll meet you at the end of the 7th row to show you the finished sleeve. Okay, I went ahead and finished the sleeve. This is what it looks like. I finished my last 2 rows. Here to finish, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and pass my yarn through this last loop, and the sleeve is done. Now you're going to do the exact same thing we did here. You're going to do it here on this side. It's done in the exact same way. Now what I'm going to show you next is this little collar that I did for the little outfit. I'm not even sure what this is called, maybe a bib. We're going to go ahead and do it here. I decided to just make it and then show it to you. I'm going to undo this part and then we're going to redo it again. I did, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and undo this part and then I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so to do the bib, what we're going to do is, this is the right side, and we're going to go here to the back. We're going to work this row from the inside out so that when the bib is done, this part here is going to be on the right side. So with this white yarn, I'm going to make a loop, and we're going to begin into the third double crochet. We have 1, 2, 3. Yes, into the third right there. Grab a loop, chain 2. 1, 2. Now into this same stitch here, make a double crochet. Now we're going to work double crochets until we come to this first corner. So I have 1 into the next, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have the corner right there. Inside this corner, you're going to do another corner, which will consist of 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. This is how we're going to work each one of the corners of this first row that we did for the little outfit. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet on each one of these until I come to the next corner. So beginning into this next double crochet, this one, right on top, make a double crochet. That's 1 on top of the next 2, 12. And now we have this space here. Make another corner, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. And then continue along for the front part into the next double crochet right here. See, 1, 2, the second one right on top. Make a double crochet and then work 1 double crochet on each one of these double crochets until you come to the next corner. I will meet you right here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making these 17 double crochets for the front, and this here is the third corner. So into this third corner, you're going to do the same thing, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. Now, we're going to work 12 double crochets for this side, which is the same number of double crochets that we did here, and then we're going to finish with 6. So you're just going to continue on to the second double crochet right on top, make your first double crochet, and then 1 double crochet on each one of these double crochets until you have 12. Then you're going to come to the fourth corner right here. You're going to do the same thing as we did here, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets into the fourth corner, and then finish these last 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will meet you at the end of this first row. I'm here at the end of this row. I finished my last 6 double crochets. So now for the second row, chain 2, turn, and here we're going to do the same thing we did on the first row. Inside each one of the corners, we're going to do 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. So here, beginning on top of the first double crochet, make your first double crochet, then work 1 double crochet for each one of the double crochets here until you come to the first corner. Okay, here's my last double crochet. Now I have my first corner. Inside this corner, you're going to do 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. and then continue along and work these double crochets. So beginning on top of the first one, see right there, make a double crochet and then one double crochet on top of each one until you come to the second corner. Inside that second corner, you're going to do the exact same thing I just did here. 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets, and then continue along and work these double crochets and then do the same thing into each one of the next 2 corners. I will meet you at the end of this second row. Okay, I'm here at the end of this second row. Now we're going to repeat the same thing we did on this row for the next 2 or 3 rows. I'm not sure how many I'm going to do. So chain 2, turn, and beginning on top of the first double crochet, make your first double crochet, and then work 1 double crochet on each one of these double crochets until you come to the first corner. Inside each one of the corners, you're going to do the exact same thing we just did for the second row. You're going to do 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. So I'm going to show you here once I get to the first corner. Make 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. That's all we're going to do. Now continue along and work the next side and do the same thing for each one of the corners. Now I'm not exactly sure how many rows I'm going to do here, but continue watching. I think I did 4 or 5, I can't remember. So continue and I'll meet you at the end of that row. Okay, I finished making the bib. I did a total of 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what it looks like. Now if you want to make more rows, you can. I'm just going to leave it like this, and I've decided that I'm going to make 2 versions of this. I'm going to make it with this version and this type of collar here, and then the next version I'm going to do just a little Peter Pan collar. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so here I'm at the end of the 5th row. So what I'm going to do here is I've already chained 1, and into this double crochet here we're going to make 2 single crochets, then 2 single crochets into the next row, 2 single crochets into the next, and so on. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so far, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 11 single crochets here. Now we're going to work single crochets here along the neckline. I'm going to reduce the neckline just a tiny bit. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. Now here at the end, I'm going to insert my hook into this same stitch where I have this first double crochet for the first row. So you see it right there. I'm going to go to the side right here, and I'm going to, I think I'm going to do a slip stitch instead. Let's see. Yes, a slip stitch. Now, in between each one of the double crochets, insert your hook. Make sure that you go through the back here in between also the blue row of double crochets there, and make a single crochet between the next 2, single crochet between the next 2, single crochet, and so on. I'm going to show you how we're going to work each one of the corners. So let's see, I still have one more. Okay, I'm right here. This is the corner. We have the 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. I'm going to skip these 2 double crochets, and right in the center right there of this corner, make a single crochet, skip these 2 double crochets that follow, and in between the next 2, make a single crochet. That's how I'm going to work each one of the corners, and this is going to reduce it just a tiny bit. Now if you feel that the neckline is a little too big, then do more than 1 reduction there. So that's all I'm going to do all around the neckline. Remember, when you get here, skip these 2, and right in the center of this corner, make 1 single crochet, skip 2, and then begin here your next single crochet, and so on, all around the neckline. Now, these single crochets that we're doing right now is going to help the bib stay down so that it's not flopping around. So that's also going to help that. Okay, so continue and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, I finished making this row of single crochets all around the collar. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go here to this side and we're going to do 11 single crochets just like we did here. So beginning into this first row here, make 2 single crochets, then 2 single crochets into the next, and so on. This is all we're going to do here. Make sure you have 11 single crochets. So after you do this, cut your yarn, pass your yarn through that last loop, and then we're going to do this part here. We're going to add buttonholes and then finish this little outfit. Okay, I finished making these single crochets. I cut my yarn, passed my yarn through this last loop. Now if you want to do the following with this little piece of yarn that we left, attach it here to one of the rows through the inside so that this part here stays put and it doesn't flop around. You can do that as well. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to make single crochets along this part here. I'm not going to add buttonholes because these spaces in between the rows you see right there can be used as buttonholes. I'm just going to add single crochets all around so that it looks nicer. So insert your hook here into this first stitch in the very corner, grab a loop with this blue yarn like this, bring it through the front, chain 1, and here into this first double crochet here, make 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Now into the row where we have chains, make 1 single crochet and then 2, 1 and then 2. We don't want to add too many stitches here, otherwise it's not going to look good. And then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. That's how we're going to do this side, and you're going to do the same thing for the other side. 2. Now add 1 in the very center right here where we joined, and then do the same thing for this side. 2 single crochets and then 1, and then continue along and finish up here. Here you're just going to cut your yarn, pass your yarn through that last loop, and then I'm going to come back and show you the finished little outfit. Okay, I finished making the back side. I added this little button. This little button here is 10 millimeters or 3/8 of an inch. I think that's what it says. It's so tiny I can't read it. And these are the buttons that I use. So this is what it looks like here in the back. That's what the top looks like, and here's the bottom. So this is the back. Now this is the front here. I went ahead and added these little buttons. I purchased these buttons from Joann's, and here's the sleeve, and here's the other one, and here's the bottom. Here's the opening with the snap buttons. So now let me give you the finished measurements. From the top of the shoulder down to the end of this last row of the leg, it's measuring about 39.5 centimeters, which is about 15.5 inches. From the center of the neckline down to the center here of the opening, it's measuring about 13 inches, which is about 33 centimeters. And around the waist, it's measuring about 27 centimeters, which is about 10.5 inches. So based on these measurements, this little outfit is for baby boys and girls between 6 and 9 months old. Be sure to check out the information box below on how you can make it smaller or bigger. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you how to make these little booties or little socks to match the little outfit. So continue watching and I'm going to show you that next. Okay, to make these baby booties, I'm going to use this 3mm crochet hook, and I'm going to use this number 3 baby yarn. You can also use DK weight yarn. Now I'm going to make the front of the booty here in white, and then the rest I'm going to do in light blue. So here to begin, I'm going to chain 7. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Into the third chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, make a double crochet, but make sure that you only go through 1 loop like this. Here we're going to make 4 double crochets. The 2 chains don't count here. Into the next, that's That's 2 double crochets, 3, and 4 double crochets. Now into this last chain here, make 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now along this side, I'm going to make 4 double crochets also. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have these 2 chains here at the beginning. Insert your hook through the first chain right there, right in the center, and now make 4 double crochets into this stitch here. 2, 3, and 4. So for this first row, you should have 16 double crochets. We have 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. That's 16 double crochets. Now to finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. And here's the first row. Now for the second row, chain 2. The 2 chains never count as a stitch. In this row, I'm going to make 5 double crochets. So beginning on top of this first double crochet, which is the same one where we did the slip stitch, make your first double crochet. That's 1 on top of the next. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. Now into the next 3 double crochets, I need to make a total of 7 double crochets. So what I'm going to do is into the first double crochet here out of the 3, make 2 double crochets. Into the second, which is the middle double crochet, make 3 double crochets. And now into the third, make 2 double crochets. So we just did 7 double crochets here. Now along this side, I'm going to make 5 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now into the next 3 double crochets, which are the last 3. Into the first one, make 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Into the next one, make 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and into the last 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Now to finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for this second row, you should have 24 double crochets. We have 5 plus 7 plus 5 plus 7, that's 24 double crochets. Now I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm just going to do the front part of the booty like this in white, and then I'm going to use the blue. Perfect. So this is going to be the right side and this is the wrong side. Now with the blue yarn here, make a loop. And insert your hook on top of the first double crochet, which is the same stitch where we did the slip stitch. Now grab a loop. This yarn here is also baby yarn number 3. You can also use DK weight yarn. Now chain 2. And in this row, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make 7 double crochets. So beginning into this same stitch here, make your first double crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets. Now into the next 3 double crochets, I'm going to make 2 double crochets on each one. 1 and 2, into the next, 1 and 2, and into the next, 1 and 2. Now along this other side, I'm going to make 9 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets. Now into the next 3 double crochets, I'm going to do 2 double crochets on each. That's 1 and 2, 1 and 2 into the next, and 1 and 2 into the next. Now I have 2 stitches left here. Make 1 double crochet on each. 1 and 1. Now for this third row, you should have 30 double crochets. We have 7 double crochets, then 6 plus 9 plus 6 plus 2, that's 30 double crochets. To finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. And here is the third row. Now for the fourth row, all we're going to do now is 2 chains, and beginning on top of this first double crochet where we did the slip stitch, you're going to make a double crochet, and on each one of the double crochets all around. We're not going to increase anymore. We're just going to continue like this for the next 4 rows, just doing the exact same thing. 1 double crochet on each one of the double crochets, and at the end of every row you're going to have 30 double crochets. That's all we're going to do. Here I'm going to finish this row to show you how you're going to finish and how to start each row from here on. Here's my last double crochet to finish. Go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now from here on, to begin each row, you're going to chain 2 and into the same stitch where you did the slip stitch, make your first double crochet, and into each one of the double crochets, same thing. Continue until you have a total of 7 rows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and finish 2 more rows plus this one here that we started, and I'll meet you once we have a total of 7 rows to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of the 7th row. I did a total of 5 rows in blue and then 2 rows in white. I joined here to the beginning with a slip stitch. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to divide the front from the back. So this is going to be the back, this is where we've been joining for each row, and this is going to be the front. I've placed 2 stitch markers. I'm marking the center of these 30 stitches. So I have 15 for the back side and 15 for the front side. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to make these 3 slip stitches. We have 3 double crochets. So from here on we're going to begin each row right here on this corner. So insert your hook on top of the first double crochet here. Try to go through one of the loops, the front loop, instead of both if you can. If not, it's okay. And then into the next, same thing, a slip stitch and a slip stitch into the third. So make 3 slip stitches from the inside. Now for the first row here, we're going to start counting rows, chain 2 and turn. So this here is going to be the right side. Now we're going to make 15 double crochets here. So beginning on top of this first double crochet right here. Here's the stitch marker, so right there on top of that, make a double crochet, and on top of each one of these double crochets, you're going to make a double crochet. So that's 4, 14, and 15. 15 double crochets for this first row. Now chain 2, turn. For the second row, same thing, we're going to make 15 double crochets. So beginning on top of this last double crochet, right here, this first one actually, make a double crochet and 1 double crochet on each one of these double crochets until you have 15. I have 2, 4, 5. 14 and 15 on top of the last one. 15 double crochets for this second row. Now for the third row, chain 2 and turn. Now I'm going to mark the center of these 15 double crochets, so I'm going to have 7 and then 7 and then 1 stitch in the center, just as a reference, because we're going to work some reductions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put a stitch marker on the 8th stitch, so you have 7 and 7 and then 1 in the center. Now here we're going to make 4 double crochets. So beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet, that's 1. On top of the next, that's 2, 3, 4 double crochets. Now into the next 6 stitches we're going to decrease. So beginning on top of the first double crochet, take 2 loops off, yarn over. On top of the next, take 2 loops off, 3 loops, close. Here's the first reduction. Now into the next 3 I'm going to work another reduction. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, take 2 loops off, yarn over, insert your hook where we have the stitch marker, take 2 loops off, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and then again into the stitch after the stitch marker, take 2 loops off, 4 loops on the hook, close. And now we're going to work one more reduction. Take 2 loops off, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 3 loops, close. Now we're going to finish with these last 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this third row, now you have 11 double crochets. These reductions here count as 1 double crochet. So let me count them for you. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now for the fourth row, chain 2, turn. I'm going to put a stitch marker into the center stitch as reference. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, and then 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to yarn over, and on top of each one of these 4 double crochets I'm going to make a double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. And now into the next 3 I'm going to make a decrease again. So yarn over, insert your hook on top of the next, take 2 loops off, yarn over, insert your hook on top of the stitch where we have the stitch marker, take 2 loops off, yarn over, and into the stitch after the stitch marker, take 2 loops off, 4 loops on the hook, close. And now I'm going to finish this side with these 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for this row we did 4 double crochets, then into the next 3 we worked a decrease. Right here, this decrease has 3 legs, and then we finish with 4 double crochets. This decrease here counts as 1 double crochet, so for this row we have 9. 4 plus 4 plus 1, that's 9 double crochets. Now for the 5th row, chain 2 and turn. Now I'm going to remove the stitch marker, we don't need it anymore. So for this 5th row, we're going to close all of these stitches. So yarn over, insert your hook on top of the first double crochet, grab a loop, take 2 loops off. 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, on top of the next, same thing, take 2 loops off, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, take 2 loops off, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, take 2 loops, 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, same thing for the next, take 2 loops off, yarn over, and I'm going to do this until I've done the same thing for each one of the double crochets. And I'm going to count my loops after I'm done here. And here's the last stitch. Let's see, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 loops on the hook. Grab a loop and close. And here's the heel. Now chain 2, insert your hook right through the middle, right here, right about the center, and make a double crochet like this. Now we're going to make 1 double crochet for each one of the rows. So beginning into this last row that we did, row 5, make a double crochet. Double crochet into the next. These are the 2 chains, just insert your hook there and make a double crochet. So far I have 3. Into the next row, a double crochet, that's 4. Into the next row, that's 5. Into the next row, that's 6. And right here where I have this double crochet, see right here, make 1 more double crochet. So that's 7 double crochets here. See? We did 1 in the center, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets along this side, and we're going to do the same thing here on this side. Same thing, so 1 double crochet for each row plus 1 here to the side, and then 1 in the center. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work these 15 double crochets. So beginning on top of the double crochet after the stitch marker, make your first double crochet out of these 15, that's 2, 3, 14, and 15 double crochets. Perfect. Now we're going to do these 7 double crochets plus 1 more so that we finish with 15 double crochets here again. So beginning on top of this stitch after the stitch marker, I'm going to remove this here. We don't need these stitch markers anymore. So into the same stitch where we did this first double crochet for the first row, insert your hook there and make a double crochet, and then 1 double crochet for each row. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 double crochets, and I'm going to make the last one right here in the same space where I did the first one. Just insert your hook through there and make a double crochet to finish. Go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. And here is the first row, and that's what it looks like. We have 15 plus 7 plus 7 plus 1 more that we did. That's a total of 30 double crochets. Now for the second row, chain 2, and beginning on top of this first double crochet, make a double crochet. In this second row, all I'm going to do are double crochets on top of each one of the double crochets. This row here is easy. All we're doing is 1 double crochet on each one of the double crochets, and at the end we're going to have 30 double crochets. Continue like this all around, and I'll meet you here at the end. Okay, I finished making this second row. I have 30 double crochets. Now to finish here, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for the next 2 rows, we're going to make front post and back post double crochets. Now if you have difficulty making front post and back post double crochets, then you can just do the next 3 rows with just double crochet. So here, chain 1, and beginning into this first double crochet, work a front post double crochet. Next one, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet, and so on. This is how you're going to continue for this third row. When you finish, join here to the top of the first double crochet with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then again repeat the same row, front post and back post double crochets. I'll meet you at the end of that 4th row. Okay, I finished these 2 rows of front post and back post double crochets. Now for the last row, all we're going to do are 2 chains, and beginning on top of the first stitch where we join with a slip stitch, make a double crochet and 1 double crochet on top of each one of the double crochets from the previous row. This is all we're going to do, so continue and finish this last row, row 5, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, I went ahead and finished the last row. Here I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and pass my yarn through this last loop. Now all I have to do is just hide this end here, and here's the finished baby booty. That's what it looks like. Here in the center, I weaved in this ribbon here. It's 3/16 of an inch, and I did the same with the other one, and I added these little buttons. These buttons here I purchased from Joann's, and this is what it looks like. So the little set is done. I already gave you the finished measurements of the little outfit. So this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.